Good day, good day, good day, y'all. Welcome to the next episode in the Kingpin Chronicles Urban Post segment where we're using our stories of real crime, real consequences, and real redemption to hopefully reach out there and just reach that person that's on the edge, man. They want to get out, or they might be on their way out. You know what I'm saying? And got in something, and we just want to be the little bit they need to help push them in the right direction, man. Let them know that, man. Them old days gone, man. It ain't like it used to be. And with that said, man, I'm gonna bring my boy in, my co-host, Mr. Jed Lee. Today we got something special, right? When it's childhood friends, I'm gonna let Jed introduce him, and we're gonna go from there.
What's up, y'all? I'm Jeffrey J. Lee, co-host of Kingpin Chronicles. I'm blessed today to have my brother here with me, Mark Irvin. My childhood friend, my brother, my lieutenant, my ride or die brother. You know what I'm saying? Came down here on special occasion to, for a homegoing celebration for one of the family members. And we've been able to hang out, like old times. I'm showing a few little tricks that I got, up the sleeve and bring them into the podcast, into the studio and show them, what we got going on in Kingpin Chronicles. So he was kind of inspired with what I'm doing with, podcasts and, my print shop and all those different things that I got going on, Uncle Jizz Tees, Miami Chunky Kunk, Kingpin Chronicles, and some other things that I got going on. So you know the type of dude I am. I'm a natural born hustler. So he understands me probably more than anybody, more than DP. You know what I'm saying? DP this is like the new version of Mark with 2.0. Because he's a brainiac. Like Mark went to school, college, and all that, but DP is like a street dude. He got computer genius, and he's taught me a lot. So it's like with Mark, it's like hand in hand. These two folks.
That's Steph's Jed way of doing it. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit better job. We got my boy. We're gonna welcome today we're here with Mark Irvin. Mark Irvin is like us, we come from where we come from. We've been through what we've been through. And Mark, one of those people that got a story, man. And we thought that y'all should hear it. So we honored with his presence today and him blessing us with a little bit of his time and being willing to, like I said earlier, share his story in the hopes that we could reach that one, man. That's our thing. So, Mark, anything you guys want to say in introducing yourself?
You know, my name is Mark Irvin. I'm born and raised in Liberty City. And Liberty City at that time was filled with some of everything that was very destructive. And that is what raised me. Unfortunately, when you allow things like that to raise you, death, prison, and anything that's destructive is inevitable. So I experienced those things, but I'm also happy of experiencing those things because it has made me, just as it has made Jed and DP, it's made us sacrificial lambs. And if we are sacrificial lambs, then it's best qualified, we are best qualified to tell you about that life in hopes that you never have to experience that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. As far as sacrificing ourselves, and we did that in more than one way in our stories, right? But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you a couple questions, Mark. I got these questions here, and we're just gonna start from the beginning, and as we go, we'll mix it up and get into some things. But I kind of want people to understand your plight from the beginning to the end because all our stories pretty much similar. Ain't too many people come from uh, Hollywood to the hood. You know what I'm saying? So before we get into everything with what happened in your story, Give us a little bit about who Mark Irvin was growing up in Liberty City, Miami.
Um, Mark Irvin was a typical black child, like no other. Um, had dreams of playing professional football, and that was my only way out of Miami. Unfortunately, um, education was always on the back burner. And when it's on the back burner, then you fall subject to all the destructive things there. And on top of that, in a household whose father was an alcoholic, a functioning alcoholic, but was in a sense somewhat of a terrorist. And I come up under that kind of rearing. A mother who was very, very passive, and her passiveness uh, enabled her to be placed on the cross, but she also took her children there as well. And so, in that environment, you see all kind of destructive and negative things. And when you see that, you oftentimes emulate that, as opposed to seeing the positivity from local black leaders. That wasn't implemented. That wasn't expressed much. And oftentimes, what you see most is what you actually become. And so I emulated the destruction of what I saw. And I would say that's who Mark Irvin is, unfortunately. But it's really not unfortunate because others can benefit from those experiences if they would so choose.
That's real big because most of us come from similar uh, uh, situations. I did. We all did, pretty much. What what did that neighborhood give you as a youth that you still carry with you today, as far as morals and like just the way we live?
It gave me a sense of religion, um, which has grown into spirituality. I can recall when I was in a situation that took me close to death. I knew no other source to call on. And so I called on what I was taught, and I was taught about God. Uh, Being true or not, I called on that source and it pulled me out of the situation that I was in. It wasn't to say that I wasn't going to suffer in that situation because God knows that I did. And from that situation, I'm missing an arm. I'm not only missing an arm, I was shot in the neck, missing a jawbone. And from that, it enabled me to call on God because the situation was so dire. I had no choice. And so I carry those same tenets even today. When I find myself in a situation where it's somewhat a little too hard for me to bear, I would seek a higher power, a higher source. Irregardless of what name that source is called, I definitely seek that, and so I carry that to this very day.
Okay.
Let me touch on that before we get to the next question, DP.
Okay.
Mark is probably um he's closer to me than all my brothers. So we're not just dealing with, any type of person. Mark can take my story. Mark knows so much about me, he can write a book about me because we've been together so much. We don't been through highs and lows together. Today, um, one of my exes, it's her birthday today. And so happened when she texted me, telling me it was her birthday, then I could remember,
Wow.
Mark, he lost his arm on this
On
date.
that day.
Yeah, on this date, August
Wow.
16th. So I know he's gonna get the crying
Wow.
and get him
Wow.
some
Wow.
tissue, DP.
Wow.
Yeah. So
On the 16th.
yeah, on the 16th.
Today.
Yeah, every day.
Roughly 10:30.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is
Wow.
like before we did, I called DP about this podcast. I didn't know how the times lined up, but it just happened. This wasn't out of no like we just set this up. It just happened at this time. So I want to let you know, brother, that I know today is August 16th. Today
August
was in,
16th.
got shot, was in the hospital.
Wow.
He was in Miami. I was up in Atlanta. I had to come back down to Miami.
That's right. That's right.
You know, he was on life support.
That's right.
The head bigger than basketball.
Bigger than the basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. So I recall this playing back everything. I ain't say nothing to you earlier today because
I did not know.
Yeah.
I did not know.
Yeah. So.
And that makes it very organic.
Right.
Because I had no clue, Jay.
Right. Yeah, the day August 16th.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
And this is 26.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been 36 years ago.
Right.
I had no clue.
Right. Exactly.
And it was her birthday.
Yeah. So it's all lined up.
Wow.
It lined up perfect. You know, not perfect, but it's perfect. I'm out here, you out here.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
kick it today.
the story is genuine.
Mm-hmm.
It's organic. So God is in this.
Right.
For it to be told today.
Right. Exactly.
For whatever reason.
Exactly.
Wow, Jay.
Yeah. So I want to let you know that I remember.
Wow.
I remember this thing.
Yes.
Phone call, text messages today.
I remember hearing how it nearly ran you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a day that I'll never forget. A day that I oftentimes go back to in my mind. A day that changed my life. A day that we were joking in the truck, and 5 seconds later, death is all around us. 5 seconds later, my arm is being shot in half. And I remember thoughts of death and dying overtaking me.
Right.
I saw the funeral with 2 caskets in it. I saw flowers. And I knew that those caskets held my body and my mother's body. I can remember seeing Brian's top portion of his head being blown off as he said, "Tell my mama." And he died with his eyes and mouth wide open. I remember that. I remember that.
Brian Spicer.
Yes, I remember that. I remember Kevin saying to me, "Ruler, Brian out of here," not knowing that I had my eyes fixed on Brian as he said his last words. I remember drinking my own blood, trying to quench this unbearable burning sensation, trying to quench this thirst. I remember hearing the police say, "I wish all you niggas in there die." I remember that. I remember hearing a voice that wasn't a human voice that said, "If you're going to survive, calm down." I remember praying because as a child, you're taught that if you have the opportunity to pray and ask for forgiveness, God will forgive you. And I went to that. And I don't know if, in fact, I was about to die or go unconscious, but after prayer, I was conscious the entire time until they began to question me about am I suffering from any illness? Am I on any form of narcotics? Because they needed to know these things, but I was unable to talk because I was shot in the neck and this jawbone was ripped out. And so I can only blink twice for yes and once for no as a means of communication. I remember hearing a doctor say, "He won't make it." I remember that. But I was determined to live.
because I literally thought that I wasn't finished with life.
Right.
There's something else that I have to do. What? I don't know. And I thank God for giving me that opportunity to live to see some of the things that I'm currently seeing, even in the form of my grandson. I thank God for that. And I had no idea that the day was
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's why this
I
is
didn't
so.
bring it up. I didn't bring it up because I called DP prematurely, right? After I got the call and the text and stuff like that. So DP said, I ain't gonna bring it up. You got to bring that up. But this is, this is raw. This is authentic. This ain't no, we ain't no make believe at all. And one of the reasons we created Kingpin Chronicles was because it's so many dudes out there that's telling stories about Wonder Man, telling stories about me, but they don't really know us, so they just fabricate shit. So this is authentic. If you get it from Kingpin Chronicles, it's uncut, it's raw, it's 100. Can't nobody tell my story or my daddy's story or Mark's story or Bob or 1, 2 or Pete, or Sam, Jay or Sweet Charlie or my family members. Nobody can tell their story about Peter Plouffe, right? Dee Dee, or
Right.
dudes like that. You can't tell my stories about Atlanta because you wasn't there. If you was there, I was snapping. That's right. So if you knew about Mark, me and Mark, if you was around when we was in Atlanta or we was in St. Pete or we was down in Miami, I know it. If you earnest, you ran, you Kango, you Poppy, you some dudes who you gonna call some names out like this nigga here, he knows something. So we created Kingpin Chronicles to put my story out there. DP laid back. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know DP, but he's a gangster. He been out there, but we got the same mindset to put out good content to where we want to deter the younger generation to like, man, y'all get out the game, grab you some bread, get out the game, man, go over here. We can show you how to trade. DP, he know how to trade. He know how to do digital marketing and digital all creation. He's a genius. He's a what you call a computer genius. So you can get with him or other type of guys who know what they're doing. Fred know how to build houses. You got dudes who know how to do all different type of things to create legitimate money to where you can get out the game, and turn your money into something legal. That's what we all about. But along with being in the street, it's gonna be some violence. You know what I'm saying? So with Mark got in his situation, I actually transferred from being a drug dude to now I done put on army fatigue. You see what I'm saying? I'm putting on army fatigue. I ain't even hustling no more. So you don't want it to get to that point where you gotta shut down the cellar dope. You gotta put on army fatigue and you around here, you a sniper now. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to get to that point because a lot of dudes, a lot of females, y'all ain't really cut like that. That's right. You ain't ready to go to be facing the death penalty or have a life sentence. You ain't cut like that. So I'm trying to nip it in the bud right here from, we talking, we have real conversations with them, real life stories.
And it's so authentic that I often use my arm or what's left of my arm as a message in hopes of you not living that or repeating that. And my jaw, my leg, I'm literally missing a jawbone. Literally. And the youth of today may not be able to live or deal with that. And so the reality is that we literally want to change your life. There's many things that I could say about Jed that I literally know.
but it would probably be misconstrued or even taken as if I'm glorifying that, but I'm not. And I'm so grateful and thankful to him because of the many things that he acquired in that life, despite that it being wrong. He has come home from prison after nearly 30 years and has not tried to re-enter that world. And it reminds me of Brother Roy Newkirk's mother. And she would always talk about those hustlers of yesteryear and how they've become wannabes and used to be's that make no honey. And we all know that honey is a medicine that can cure the illnesses of the world. And so again, as I'm piggybacking off of Jed, that we desire, or we're here, our desire here is for you never ever have to repeat what we experienced. Because again, you may not be strong enough to deal with it. We've seen from our women being kidnapped. And I even heard that Tammy was raped.
Mm.
She always denied that,
Mm-hmm.
but I've heard that. And women can't deal with things like men could because they didn't know if they were going to live or die. They didn't know that. And so, again, man, we're filled with a lot of past experiences that could be considered jewels, only if you would accept and turn away. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to also know that this is my 36th-year anniversary of this shooting, of an experience that altered my life entirely. I don't know what it is to hold a woman with both arms. I remember being in bed with a particular woman, and I grabbed her with the right arm and literally tried to grab her with the left arm because my mind thinks that the arm is still there.
Right.
And that experience was so painful that I lost my libido.
Dang.
Because it gave me a reality that, dude, you don't have this no more.
Right. Let me touch on this where you get into your sexual thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Mark was an elite football player from Bethune-Cookman College. Mark was supposed to go in the first round of the NFL draft. You know what I'm saying? He went to the combine. He probably set records in the combine. He used to crack helmets. You know, he was like a Ray Lewis. Mark was one of Ray Lewis. If you look up the records at Bethune-Cookman College, if you look up the records, Mark probably bench pressed more than anybody. He probably had more tackles, more sacks. He was supposed to go in the first round of the NFL draft. And then when he went to the combine, he had a situation to where he was hanging out. He liked to hang out. He loved to hang out, you know. And I don't know who he was with. He wasn't with me. No. But he ended up snorting some pot. That's right. And they tested Mark positive for cocaine, so that dropped him in the NFL draft. He got films of where, you know, if you look up Bethune-Cookman College, Mark Irvin, this nigga was a headhunter. Yeah. He was a headhunter. Played for Northwestern, a headhunter. Uncoached finger, a headhunter. They went to championships. Yeah. So he was an elite player, and him and my partner Nine, they used to come over to St. Pete. They'll see me, I give them a bunch of 1s and 5s, send them back to college. You know what I'm saying? They come over there and get money from me. I give them a bunch of 1s and 5s, give them all the 1s and 5s that I had, because I didn't even count them. I just give them a bag of 1s and 5s. Yeah, I went back to school. I was just looking for the picture where we went to their classic game. And me and Mark and Pete and Nine, we took a picture. Nine had scored a touchdown. Right. And in the end zone, he came. I'm gonna find a picture where he posted to me. we hugged after he made the touchdown. We was on the field.
It was on the field.
And so Mark actually, I think that year he got drafted to Denver.
I was free agent.
Free agent.
Yeah.
Well, he got drafted to Denver.
No,
He
it
went
was
to
the
Miami, the Dolphins.
Broncos.
He went to the Dolphins when they was on strike and all that stuff. So I know Mark. We had, like in Atlanta, we had some Honeycomb Hideout, some nice place up there in Atlanta. So Mark would have all his videos of his recordings of when he was playing college football and the NFL. So when he go in, he hit the remote. He bring a broad over there and they
Sure
say, Mark Irvin on the tackle. Mark Irvin interception. Mark Irvin sacked the quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
That was the lead weight of the six.
So I gave him this nickname. I call him Ricky.
Rick.
Yeah, I call him Ricky. That's like, when he gonna have the money laying out for the women, and he better than 1-2 with that. He's real Ricky. He gonna have the money out of the women. They ain't gonna turn him down.
Yeah, they can't. But I would definitely say that I had a superb professor by the name of Jeffrey G. But everything that Jed has said was.
So I know him. I know Mark. I know Mark like you know me, DJ. I know him.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you something about that. In your book, right, I read where you wrote about football being an escape from the chaos at home when you was young, right? What did football give the young Mark that the streets couldn't? Because I was kind of the same way. And high school football probably saved me from like going to prison and getting a lot deeper in the streets earlier.
Right.
Because just high school football, it took my time and it just gave me something else to do. So, what did football give you when you was young that the streets just couldn't?
It gave me a way to release frustration. Again, my father was an alcoholic and a terrorist while being that, despite him being a very small man. My father was, in a sense, insane because I can recall the day that he bought his gun. It held us in captivity. My father would shoot at a person if he walked down the street and he didn't respond. And so I come up in a household like that. So football gave me a means of escape. Even when my mother would pick us up or pick me up from football practice, I wanted to know if my father was drinking or not. And if he was drinking, we would go to the drive-in just to get back home in hopes of him being asleep. So football gave me a way to get rid of the pent-up frustration, but it also gave me a sense or a form of discipline early. But cocaine and other things interfered with that, where I lost my discipline because I was disciplined to the point that, as Mike Tyson say, discipline is doing something that you hate, but you're doing it as if you love it. And I lost that. And in losing that discipline, it definitely caused me to not be drafted. And it wasn't said that I was going to be a first round. It was said that Seattle Seahawks was going to draft me as their first defensive back. And they did draft a Mark in the 4th round. His name happened to be Mark Moore out of Oklahoma State. So they did do what they said in regards to drafting a Mark. It just so happened it wasn't Mark Irvin. And being at Bethune-Cookman under the leadership of Larry Little, who happens to be a Hall of Famer, 2 Super Bowl championships, who walked in the place of my father when I got married. And I affectionately called him to this very day Pops. He always said if he had just 10 Mark Irvins, he would win championships after championships after championships. But that's how football was played back then. It was a violent game, and I would prefer to actually do the hitting as opposed to even an interception. But again, when you have all your eggs in one basket and not being married to the sport or to to academics, you'll find yourself on the opposite end of that. And oftentimes that leads to destruction. And it can, in fact, lead to death. And so, do I have any regrets in regards to that? I don't think that I do, because I would be here talking to you, and that lifestyle has qualified me and Jed and EP and others. It has qualified us to be able to be that sacrificial lamb and hopes of steering you from a life of total destruction, a life of wrongness. So, yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be here. But again, your question, football gave me an opportunity to release pent up frustration, and that it did.
Can I'll piggyback on that. I learned some of my most valuable lessons playing football. You know, because some of my same football buddies from Northside Optimus, we still friends today. You know what I'm saying? And you learn in football, you know, as I have gotten older, I learned that, you know, if you don't know what a penalty is, you know, you out there playing the game, applying it to, like being in the streets. If you don't know what a penalty is, then, you just out there with a helmet on, you don't know the plays, you just out there. So like to transform that into street knowledge, if you don't know what the statutes is, and you out here in the game, then
Good analysis.
Good
analysis.
Yeah, you're gonna get cracked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So football taught me. I transformed everything to when I played football.
Yeah.
You know, all of my football, but we won championships, and then there was some years when we lost. We didn't win a game, but we all stood together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got dudes that, you gonna get, if you get busted, y'all going to trial together, or you gonna go switch teams. You know what I'm saying? So football taught me the fundamentals of, like, damn man, we on the same team. So now you're gonna switch up because we losing. No, you stick. We gonna win or lose, win, lose, drive, die, whatever. We going down together. The ship going down together. I'm not gonna switch teams. I never switch teams on you. Although that you might have been going through some psychological things with your own. I never gave up on that. And I used to tell Gil that, I say, Mom can't call and she, cause she be worried about you.
Yeah.
Mom can't call in and he ain't answer the phone. I say, Mom going through some stuff. He going through a lot. So just, he'll come around,
After losing my arm at times, I would shut down.
Oh, I already know. Listen, I know you. I know you was shut down. So I knew you my teammate. You like my teammate. So you know what I'm saying? You went through a whole lot.
Yeah.
You went through a whole lot. So Gil was more so worried about, she called you, you ain't calling back. If I call her, if she called me, I'm calling back. You know what I'm saying? So she gonna get a call from me, but you shut down. I'm like, you don't even understand what Mark is going through. I know Mark. I know what he's going through. So
and it's unfortunate that when we experience things like this in the Black community, we have no idea going to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Right. That's what.
So I begin to self-medicate.
Right.
No.
Right.
And not knowing, even if I knew that there's no good to come out of it, I would continue.
Right.
But I just didn't know how to deal with certain issues.
Right.
And I would definitely shut down. And it's unfortunate
that's
that
understandable, but I know you.
Right.
I know
you understood.
Yeah, I know
you understood.
So I wouldn't, even if you, like, sometime, man, you might go 7-8 months, don't even talk.
Yeah.
But I know what you're going through.
Right.
So I ain't trying to, just like when me and Farrakhan talk, and I said, man, your daddy answer my call, so man, I would talk to Farrakhan, although you talking to Farrakhan, I'm talking to him too, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
worry about it. You ain't gotta
Yeah.
call him on the three-way. I know he's
Right.
going through some stuff. He ain't answered my calls, so I got plenty of people to call.
Yeah.
He'll come around. He's gonna call me sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you're going through a whole lot of like psychological things, physical things, mental. You know, and a lot of people don't. You know, I didn't realize like, dealing with coming out of prison. You know, mental health is that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you come from one extreme,
Right.
like with me, having a life sentence, then they throwing you out there.
Right.
You know, they giving you immediate release from out here, and now you got to deal with the world out here where you were just in here dealing with, all these crowds,
Right.
penitentiary politics, and now you out here in the real world. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, so I understand, what you was going through. I put myself in your shoes. Like if I had lost my own, because you was probably, the closest person to me that, where money was, where dope was, where guns was, where the cars was at, you know everything about me to where, and I appreciate your loyalty because you could have took the money and ran off to Costa Rica somewhere.
No. I would honestly say Michael Delancey, older brother, Miami. He helped me to see loyalty. And then I even shut down on Mike.
Right.
Right. I shut down on Mike. Sometimes just not being able to deal with certain issues of life.
Right.
Not being where I think that I should be in life.
Right.
Can create a form of embarrassment in a sense. But there is no pace to life. We just take our time and we'll get to where we need to be. But one thing that I can honestly say is that I do love him.
Sir.
And that's not even for the Gatling campus.
Right. Exactly. I know that.
And I can honestly say that I kept my word to you while in prison. I kept my word. I believe I told you one time that you would be a part of my bills.
Yeah, you took that my whole bit.
And
sent me money every time he got paid on that, working on the dock. He gonna send me, make sure I make it to the store. Send money here if I want to fly, flew out to California or Colorado or Pennsylvania. Mark was behind a lot of women come to see me to keep me uplifted.
Keep you saying
You uplifted me when I needed you. So I appreciate that.
No, man. That's
brother. Make sure that if a woman need to come see me, I'm in goddamn Atwater, California. And I don't know if y'all know where Atwater, California at. That's at the top of Northern California. So it costs some money for you to fly out there. You need to come see me in Colorado, Florence, Colorado. You need to come see me in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, Terry Hood, Indiana. Mark was making that happen for y'all.
I can recall even when I got engaged, you called minutes prior to the limousine getting done.
Right.
Yeah. And I tell you, I was about to get engaged to Farrakhan.
Right.
She was pregnant at the time.
Right.
I definitely recall that.
Right.
Definitely recall that.
So we thank Farrakhan for our grandson.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Great nephew.
Without a doubt.
That's you reincarnated.
And
a little bit more handsome.
But even had it not, the shooting If I had died, I wouldn't have known what it is to have a grandson.
Right.
You
Exactly.
would have known what it was
Right.
to have a nephew and a great nephew.
Exactly.
You know, so
Right.
I'm grateful for that incident. I'm grateful for the survival of it.
Right. Right.
And yeah, man, you messed my head up, man, with August the 16th.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that after sent me a text. Let me know it was her birthday. I sent her birthday wishes. I called her.
Yeah. And I asked about it today.
Yeah, you asked about it, but I didn't say it.
Wow.
I didn't say anything
Wow.
about it. I ain't bring it up because I feel like you would know, you know. So I didn't bring it up. And
I would have been crying all day.
Yeah, I know it. That's why I ain't
been crying all day.
I ain't bring it
Oh
up.
my goodness, got me blowing my nose.
I didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up.
And see that's why it ain't about the camera because I'm blowing my damn nose. You know.
Right.
This is something that is real, man. And
Right.
and in that world, in that life, and I'm here to tell you, man, this man was having $100,000 days, and if I'm not mistaken, one day, and it was a 12-hour day, $126,000, if I'm not mistaken, over in Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so
Atlanta.
yeah, and so this is some real. This is real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely not to glorify that,
Mm-hmm.
because the end result is painful. 29 years that he went away. I also did time in prison. That even as a first time offender, cracker don't give a damn, But I have to also realize, that it wasn't them sending me to prison. We think about these things. Thought is the manifestation of all that exists. So I thought about hustling. I may not consciously have thought about going to prison, but in thought, you create, even if it's not a conscious thought. So prison was there in thought. The shooting was there in thought. And it just only manifested itself.
Right. Right.
And so yeah. But I don't regret any of it. Because again, it qualifies to deal with the youth who gravitate towards the shiny objects. And there's nothing wrong with having these objects. It's just, the means and manner in which you go trying to obtain it. And so what Jed and others, will show you is that you keep that same hustling energy. You just only change the product. And in changing the product, you never have to look over your shoulders because that lifestyle, it creates a lot of fake friends and real enemies. Real enemies that are really, really real, to the detriment of life. And we had to endure that. We lost friends along the way. We endured a lot along the way. And is it worth it? No. Like I said, I don't know what it is to be able to hug a woman with two arms. So in turn, I just give her half of that. I give her half of that, but again, it's due to that lifestyle. And so if anything that you could take from this, take from it that you don't want this. You don't want this.
Well, you have a lot of people that's not. They want the money, but they're not about that life. They ain't really about that life. They just want the shiny objects.
Yeah.
Want the money. But man, it's two sides to the story.
That's right.
That's like the book, balling on both sides of the game.
That's right.
Yeah, you can. Mark wrote a book some years ago, and I'm featured in a book, probably one of the first books that I'm featured in. I'm featured in another book called I'm Not Crying that my jailhouse attorney wrote, Michael Norwood. He mentioned me in the first book, and then he put me in that. And the jerk has a book called I'm Not Crying. Well, I'm featured in that.
Right.
this book kind of breaks down Mark's, his childhood, his college, high school, upbringing.
This book actually goes, into the life of me, but again, not to glorify anything, because in it you find history, you find the importance of economics, you find the importance of unity, you find spirituality, religion, you find racism. You'll find results. You'll see triumph. You'll see sadness. You'll see a multitude of issues, a multitude of emotions run deep. But you also will find friendship, unbreakable friendship here in this book. Just as many of the readers would go to their lives and find friendship that they could find for 30, 40 years and sometimes a lifetime. And this book was written actually to um, help me to. It was a therapeutic book because Rory Newkirk asked me to write about the most painful part of my life, and I started at the shooting. And once I got that out, then everything else was able to flow. And so it started with the thought of mental health. So you find quite quite a lot of different things in this book. Definitely, the intention was to write it in such a way that I will create an energy that will pull the reader into my world, but have them to look through my lenses. And those lenses are very painful, um, very thought provoking. Those lenses are confusing. Um, Even a trace of love, but in that world, love is never mentioned. Love is displayed, but you'll
Yeah,
find traces of
I gotta give you another, speak the flowers right here. Mark, along with, Megan, they helped me put together my book. So I have a book probably might be about 300 pages. Have We're doing editing right now, and so Mark knows me where he can write the book without me even being there. But I wanted, I had guys like Plex and Ball, you know, that they wrote books. They know how to write movie scripts, and so they wanted me to write a book while I was in Coleman too. Shout out to Plex and Ball, the movie, but I couldn't write in prison because my mind was focused on getting out of prison. So my mind was into the law. My book was in my head, but I wasn't in a comfortable space to where like now I'm out here. I can go out on Clearwater Beach or St. Pete Beach or go to Bahama Breeze or go somewhere comfortable where I can write from the spirit of being at peace versus being at war. When I'm at war, I can't
Hello,
create
everyone.
nothing. But I am able to create when I'm at peace.
right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So now things come back when I talk to you. I talked to one, two, I talked to Pete about different stuff back in the days. I talked to Bob. And a lot of people remember stuff that's going on. Mike Oliver, dudes who know me, they tell me certain things. I'm like, damn, I need to put that.
Right.
I can create a chapter on that. So now that I'm out here, I can grab my story. I can ask some of my older friends. They still got pictures from back in the day. Most people they don't send them pictures to people and they haven't sent them back. So if you do have any old school pictures back in the days from we was jamming on Child's Park, Campbell's Park, out by the Skyway, at the name of the game, at Ike's, send them to me so I can add them into my book, into my documentary.
And it's important that he give his story. because again, nobody could tell your story better than you. But as he mentioned earlier that, and I agree, I think I know him, a little more than most. We lived together,
Yeah.
under the same roof, you know, and I know when he would,
Hey, he lived with me while I was on the run, y'all.
Yeah,
He
that's
stayed
right.
with me on the run.
That's
We
right.
was on the run together.
Yeah.
In Miami,
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
I remember
In
jumping
New
on
York.
balconies.
Yes.
I remember jumping on
We jumped
balconies.
off second floor balcony.
That's right.
Get the weight. Get the weight.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I can recall lipstick on the door by the peephole.
Yeah.
Ever since on their toes. Looking at that. Yeah, I agree. Oh man. So again, I think that I could help him in remembering certain things. But he couldn't say it any better because he was fighting for his life, his survival. And in that frame of mind, there's no other thought other than freedom as opposed to writing a book. But his book definitely will be something that you should read, must read, and have to read. Because there you'll find things that can't be said by nobody else other than him. And a brilliant mind, a brilliant mind. In fact, we should call him a wizard. A brilliant mind. Um, and that's what's so frightening about a hustler. A hustler is feared because that hustler can organize. That hustler understands the importance of economics. That hustler is disciplined too, because I can recall when things would be bad, he wouldn't spend anything, and he would take that money and flip it. So there's discipline there. Again, with that same hustling energy and drive, which you find in most successful legal people. You find that discipline. They just found a way to change products.
Right.
And you definitely have done that. And that's what's most feared in society, especially coming from young black men. When you have that kind of mindset to foresee certain things and take advantage of those things, how would that be? Fear that because they know that if that person gets the right message, they can turn that around and it becomes beneficial to not just that individual, but it can become beneficial and it starts to spark that enters the life and mind of others, where they could do the exact same thing. Right. So this book definitely is one that will be a must read, a required read. And again, it's not just glorifying. It's not glorifying that lifestyle at all, and it's the reality of what he's experiencing.
What I'm doing is, Mark, what I see with the book is so many people that's telling story, my story, but they don't know the facts. So that's what Kingpin Chronicles is. Me and Derek coordinated together, and we created a platform to where you can get the truth about it. If it's coming from here, then it's authentic. You know what I'm saying?
There's so much to what you said because I remember looking at a podcast of a particular person, which I won't mention the name, and he would say certain things about one man and did, and I'm saying,
They don't really know it because you can go into details. And that's what really driven me to get in front of the camera.
Right.
Because you have, I'm old school. I don't broadcast. I'm about to kill you. I'm not gonna go on Facebook and say, social media tell you I'm finna hit your head. I'm gonna hit your head and then go home, go to bed. Right. Go to sleep. So I'm not a camera type guy, but to tell my story and get out there, I'm not condoning violence, but at the same time, I'm saying that I'm the type of person that You know, I'm gonna do something, or I do it to you, or not, like I'm gonna do it to you. I just want to put my story out, like where it's authentic, where can't nobody tell my story, or my brother can't tell my story, can't tell my daddy's story the way I can. Because I was with my daddy every day from a kid to riding in trucks to, you know, doing all other type of things. So can't nobody tell my daddy's story better than I can. But I have a brilliant mind to do that.
Yeah,
But I put it in, you know, paper or film or whatever.
Well, I would say this too. Now, some people, like we have 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Some people could tell a story in the winter,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not the entire story of you.
Right.
They may be able to tell the story in the summer, but again, that's not the entire story of you. Or even the fall,
Right.
or they may be able to tell two seasons of the story.
Right.
But again, there's nobody better to tell the four seasons of it than you.
Right. Right.
So,
So listen, y'all. Mark is like my childhood friend.
I'm your brother.
Yeah, this came up together. We was in Atlanta. A lot of people don't know about the Atlanta hustle. A lot of y'all know about the St. P hustle, but I got some of my female friends up there, like Twin and Regina and Joyce, Vita. They know in Atlanta they used to call me KP.
Yeah.
I wasn't Jed in Atlanta. They used to call me KB. Hey KB.
Yeah.
Hey KB. Tammy Black. Shout out to Tammy Black. My brother Charles Black. So I controlled a lot of the, street level dudes in Atlanta that I ain't really talked about. But I controlled a lot of the, Perry Homes, Haunted Homes, Dixie Hill, Capitol Homes, things that I haven't even spoke of, because if dudes really knew me, they're like, that nigga, that was, he's like that, so I'm one of the original, what you would call like dudes that migrated from Miami. They call them Miami boys, or you know what I'm saying. We dudes from Miami, we don't. Some dudes are trapped in Miami, but we take our show on the road. We might, I done hustled in Killeen.
That's right.
Killeen, goddamn Texas. So shout out to my homeboy,
22nd Avenue player.
Yeah, 212 players who took me up to Killeen, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I've been in Killeen, Texas. I've been in Mississippi. I've been in goddamn Detroit. I've been in Ohio. I've been in goddamn all over, So we are not typically a Miami boy. You gonna take your show on the road because you can't make no money in Miami.
Right.
So back then we were hustling. We would take our work out of town, because Miami, if you buy a brick down there, you ain't gonna make it. If you break it down, you'll make $2,500 in the traps down there in Miami. Versus if you go out of town, you gonna make 15 or 20. So a lot of dudes they didn't have the organization skills to go out of town, get an apartment, buy some cars, find out what, where they trapping at.
Or being welcomed by the people at that time.
Right. You gotta have the type of charisma to go into a city, infiltrate it, put down, get some money, and get up out of there. Shout out to all my family up in New Jersey. I've been trapping up in Newark, New Jersey since I was like 14, 15, 16, 17. Shout out to, Ski Boat. Ivory.
Canada.
Yes. I've been over in Canada, trapping all over there. So it's a lot of things that I don't talk about. I try to like suppress what, my past, but I've been around the block, but You know, thanks to dudes like Mark, 1, 2, Pete, they remind me of certain things like, yeah, I need that's a chapter in my book.
But I would say this, I know that you're not glorifying any of that. I get that. I totally agree with that. But if we had, or if Detroit Red was killed,
Mm-hmm.
we would never know who Brother Malcolm X was.
Right.
And so a young Jed has to be talked about so we can see the evolved Jed of today.
Right.
And so this is what you're looking at today. You're looking at an evolved man who understands things far greater than most hustlers of yesteryear and most hustlers of today understand.
Right.
And so the finished product of what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And we thank God for that, even though it was painful.
Right.
Yeah, we thank
Right.
God for that.
Right.
So,
Right.
because there are things that will come into play that will show what God has instilled within you.
Right.
And it will be a good example where others will say, you know what, I could do that, I would do that. And don't have to worry about if he's knocking on your door.
Right.
You don't have to worry about any of that.
Right.
You're free.
Right. Right.
You're free.
Piggyback on that, it feels good to me, right? To know that I ain't in the street.
Right. Right.
I ain't got to worry about no indictment.
Right. Right.
You know, when I get in my car and, you know, I got a bunch of shirts in the car and I'm about to drop off to some people that I done did some embroidery work, I done press it. The police they ain't checking for me right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that money is gonna add up to the same type of money that I was getting in the street.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just got to increase my hustle.
Yeah.
And, you know, the times have changed. So with social media, you know, I keep my page active.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because people want to know who I am. They want to know who Jed is. You know, I have my nephews out there. You know, shout out to all my nephews, and my sons, and my nieces and stuff like that. But I have, you know, the younger women, the younger generation, the younger guys, they know me. They want like, yeah, I know who he is. You such and such that. You just meet that. You know what I'm saying? And you Monte that. You know, you great nephew, you great uncle.
Right.
You know, you Quan uncle. You know, Renard uncle. You know, so people want to see what you're doing now versus back in the past. We know back in the 80s, but people want to know what you're doing now. You know, a lot of things I don't put out in front of the camera what I'm doing because you wanna manifest it first before you put it out there because you got so many people that are, you know, pulling against you than you have pulling for you. And I understand that you have people that's praying against you and you have people that's praying for you. So I understand it. So you don't really reveal your next move. That ain't happen.
I heard that. I heard it said that there's 3 things that a person should never talk about. You don't talk about family secrets. You don't talk about your next move. You don't talk about the amount of money you may have. Because if you have less than what a person think, now judgment is coming. Or if you have more,
Right.
then envy and jealousy is coming.
Right.
And you have some people that could be happy for you and share in that success with you.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but it's very rare. But you can
Right.
find that. So
Right.
there's
Right.
3 things that I think that you shouldn't talk about, and that's the next move, family
Right.
secrets, and
Right.
money.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
I agree with you.
I feel that.
So DP, what are your questions, man? I know you like
No,
the
y'all
freestyle,
done-
man.
y'all
So
done
we
lost
get into
me.
some of these questions. I know
Yeah,
we roll,
yeah.
we ride.
Yeah,
I know we ride, but I want to hear some of these questions.
But that's the authenticness
yeah,
of it. though,
right,
you know? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
Hey,
I thank you too, DP, man, for
without a doubt, without a doubt.
this the brains behind Kingpin Chronicles, man. You know, DP.
Yeah, well read. I'm looking at books.
yeah, I kind of went all over the place.
We're there, man. We're fine.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
So y'all make sure y'all tap in and grab some. We got Kingpin Chronicle merch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm wearing my hat. Yeah, we got plenty of merch. Yep. built not given. We got plenty of merch. We got machines, so y'all tap in, man. Y'all tap in at the website. We're gonna give you a deal. We ain't, I got all my equipment for free. So y'all tap in. If you need your stuff embroidered, you need DTF, you need silk screen, you need goddamn sublimations, anything. We got the merch. We got the merch. We ain't gonna tax you. We're gonna give you a good deal. Yep, we got the mugs. You can drink. You can drink you some. Put your little drink in here. And so y'all tap in. If y'all need y'all brand, brought to life, y'all tap in with us. We got plenty of merch. We ain't on the merch we got. Got a whole bunch of shit. Got all type of built not given hats. All type of Kingpin Chronicle hats. Got all kind of shirts y'all need. You need the Kingpin Chronicle shirts. Y'all support us and that help us put out content. We can't make it no without y'all support. Y'all support Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Chanel and all that stuff. They ain't gonna get back to you.
I ain't seen that when you got on. That's the new one. He
done
snuck a design on me.
Yeah. Shout out to 1, 2, and Pete. Yeah, shout out to 1, 2, and Pete, man.
Yeah, I ain't seen that one. That's the new one.
Yeah, I noticed it late too.
Yeah. Shout out to my brother 1, 2, and Pete, man. I'm representing the day, man.
Well, Fatty had red back there too.
Yeah. Shout out to my sister Gil, man.
Yeah.
So, man, we got all kind of. We got the machines to, print. If y'all got a beauty salon, you do nails, you got a goddamn medical carrier business, whatever type of business you have, we can outbid anybody prices. So y'all tap in with us on the merch, and we'll get you right.
And I would go further and say that they are a group of brothers that aren't selfish to a point where they allowed me to display, my book, Ball on Both Sides of the Real and Dead Man, written by both myself and Roy Newkirk.
That's one of our main things is to use our stories, to try to affect change in our neighborhood. Right. And that's the way we get our stories out. We create content. We got books. We're gonna be putting yours in an audio book. We're working on that right now and getting it in the ebook format so that we can get as many copies as we can out to as many people as possible. So I mean, it's a great thing to see. From my point of view, y'all brothers, because both of y'all, older than me, so I kind of came up under y'all,
Right.
And seeing the way y'all handling y'all story and y'all history and what y'all using it for is something that could be respected. When I take a look at, and I hate to use this dude's name, but everybody be familiar with it. When you look at these dudes like Big Meech and the whole BMF thing, they did what they did, went and dealt with the consequences of what they did, and they back out here, but their message ain't changed.
Right.
Their message is the same, and even though we all saw them go do the time and all of that, they get out here and they make it seem like, to the youth anyway, because I know better.
Right.
They make it seem like them 30 years wasn't nothing, like it ain't changed you, and like you gonna get right back out here and get right back into the motion of things. But I'm of the opinion that those the guys that you stand clear of.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Without a doubt. You know, I was, well, I almost said I was blessed not to lose any loved ones while in prison, but that's not the case. My grandmother passed. God knows, when she last visited me, there was a thought that came to mind that this is your last time seeing her, and so I was drinking in. Her 89-year-old wrinkles. Um, and I was paying more attention to her. Because I really felt that that was my last time seeing her. And Jed could even go into that in greater detail with the loss of his mother. And I made it my business, man. In fact, Red could tell you, I made it my business when she tell me mama was in the hospital. Because that's what I called her mama. I could call her and tell her I'm coming in town and I'm gonna get mashed potatoes and
Gravy.
no, mashed potatoes and gravy, but God darn it, I'm talking about the meat, yeah.
Oh, meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
Mm-hmm.
Mashed potato, meatloaf, and green beans.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was really good, I'm gonna get me some banana pudding.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna give me some banana pudding.
That's my favorite.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, and so you know he lost his mother, you know, while in prison, and yeah, man. So there are many things that you go through and living that life and dealing with the consequences of it, and we'll never get that back. You know,
Right.
we'll never get that.
That's perfect for.
We're talking about mama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
and could never get that time back. Time is far more valuable than money, and so it leaves us with memory,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so yeah, you know, just dealing with the pain of going away and losing loved ones,
Right.
and him losing his father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after doing 25 years, I think 8 days after he get out, you know, he goes on, he makes his transition.
Right.
And so it's a lot that comes with that hustling that, you know, many people have to deal with, but you have some that choose not to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wind up hurting other people. But you know, I can honestly say you're a man's man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're a man's man. I even heard this, and I hate to mention his name, and I won't mention his name.
Mm-hmm.
King Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him say that I didn't hear him say, but I heard it said that he respected you due to the fact that you never opened your mouth in regards to him, but others did.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so you know, you're dealing with a man's man when you're dealing with Jed. And it's very rare. It's very rare that you find that, but when you find it, you know? And so that's just a testament to your character, your strength, because others ain't that strong. Yeah,
Backseat of police.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Man,
Without a doubt.
they make that.
Fool at the police station.
Without a doubt.
Fool at the police station.
I got a couple questions I found that we might could wrap it up with.
Right.
We pretty much covered everything.
Yeah,
y'all went, and y'all just. I just got out of the way. I said they doing it.
Listen, I can vibe with Mark. Listen, man, me and Mark, man, we done did everything together, man. We done laughed together, we done cried together.
That's right.
You know, we done did everything together, man. So Mark knows me probably better than Bob.
Yeah.
Better than my brother Pete. You know, he knows me better than my dad. You know what I'm saying? Because we just have been through a lot of things together. You know, and he supported me, man. Like I say, the whole while I was incarcerated, I didn't have to worry about no money. Money wasn't an issue with Mark. He made sure, like, brother, you gonna be all right, man. He just wanted to see me win. You know, and it's good to have brothers like this when you're incarcerated. They want to see you win. They want to see you get out.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And so a lot of my filing fees, he paid the court fees. You know, anything that I needed done, like I never had to worry about going to the stove. I already had, it helped me build a stove out. And, if I needed to buy some cigarettes and then a flip, he gonna get that money there. So it's things that dudes incarcerated, you need somebody like Mark that's gonna hold you down. It's females that's gonna hold you down when you're in a time of need. So
It's so funny. It's so funny.
mm-hmm.
11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
11 years ago.
What's that?
This is something that Jed sent 11 years ago. And
What
you can
that?
read it. It
What's
says, Jeffrey Diamond Head Lee. He said, thanks for holding me down, big brother. 11 years ago. And I never erased that. I never erased that. I kept that as I keep it today. And that's been 11 years ago. It's been in my phone.
Dang.
All right, we got these we can wrap it up with, and this is the lesson we're trying to teach, right? A quick question. Mark, you live both sides of the game, right? Football, opportunity, hustling, drugs, fatherhood, federal prison, and rebuilding. If a 17-year-old kid from Liberty City or any neighborhood in America was sitting right here with us today, what would you tell him?
I would tell them to look closely at my life experiences, and try to live a life that could amplify what he or she should do. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says something. He said, "Man, you could put a clean glass next to a dirty glass, and if left with the opportunity to drink, what would you drink? You're gonna drink from that clean glass." So I think we have to demonstrate, we got to live what it is that we would want them to live. So it won't be much that I would say to them other than trying to exemplify a life that would lead them elsewhere, a life that would lead them to what it is that they desire. Because definitely, man, this missing arm, missing jawbone, badly scholar, leg, time in federal prison, is a life that is not worth living. Not for you. We've done that for you. So again, we're the sacrificial lambs for those who would like to live that life, but not understanding what's on the opposite end of that life. And 29 years, nearly 30 years of Jed being gone, losing parents, losing friends along the way. Me, losing a grandmother along the way. Is it worth it? Nah, man. The end results of it is not, and that's why this book is called "Balling Both Sides of a Real and Deadly Game," because there are two sides to this game, and people gravitate towards that shiny and glittery side of the game, but there's a dark side of it that has to be talked about, need to be talked about, because a lot of brothers ain't gonna tell you that they cried in their prison, I remember one of the first things that you told me, Jim, when I was out on bond. You told me, I'll never forget it. You told me about a turbulent time that, it could fuck with you to a point that your woman gonna have, sex with another dude. And I didn't want to hear that shit. Right. And it showed enough, man. I'm gonna tell you, one of the most painful times of me in prison. Farrakhan might have been my son. He might have been 3, and he hit me with a Mike Tyson punch. What did he say? Dad, I got 2 daddies. and so, yeah.
I'm gonna speak the truth now.
And his mama didn't get back on the phone after that. I hear the phone click. Oh man, that hit me with a Mike Tyson punch. But it's things like that you go through in that life, and so is it worth it? No, we could laugh now, but god damn it, damn sure wasn't. It wasn't a laughable. It wasn't a laughable moment at the time. Dad, I got 2 daddies. Oh my goodness.
We're gonna close out with this.
Listen, Mark wrote this book. He wrote it while I was in federal prison, right? So he sent it to me. you know, I read it a couple of times. You know, circled some of the, you know, corrections and all that type of stuff. So we went back and forth with this book, you know, and it's, man, this is a hell of a book because it's gonna have you laughing, you're gonna have you crying, it's gonna have you like, you got quotes in there, you got, you know, all type of Bible verses, you know, this is a real heartfelt book, man. And,
But
you know,
I can't just take the credit of that by myself.
Yeah,
Because
Newkirk.
Lord Newkirk,
yeah, Newkirk helped you write
Newkirk,
it, but
of course.
I'm just saying that this book here, man, will really like, it should be every probably dude that's in the street, or you know, young guy that's in college or in high school, you should read this. If you're a football player, basketball player, because you at it, you know, when you in high school or you in college, you can go either way because you know some dudes in the street. You know, I got my grandson that's he in the street. He want to be in the street, but he playing football. He in high school, so he want to be a thug, and then he want to be this goody two shoe sport dude. You know, so you in the crossroads right now.
Right.
So you should read a book like this here because
You can't
you
scrap
can
the
end up
fence.
like
Mhm.
Mark.
Yeah, yeah,
You think you're a gangster.
yeah.
You ain't really no gangster like that, you know, to take it to the level like that,
Mhm.
you know. So I would recommend any mother out there that has a son that's in the streets, you know, you can contact me if you need me to mentor your son,
Yeah, that's what it's
you
about.
know, and point him in the right direction. You know, I can meet with him once a week. You know, I'll do that. I'm approachable. So if you have a son that's, you know, might be going through, he's struggling with, you know, going to school, or, you know, want to be this fake drug dealer now, you know, you can contact me, and, you know, I'll meet up with y'all, and we can, you know, I'll do some mentoring with your son or with your daughter, you know. So this is one book that you should read because Juan went from being drafted to Seattle Seahawks,
Yep.
to in the street, to
Yep.
in prison,
Yep.
getting his arm knocked off.
Yep.
You know, working. He's a longshoreman right now. That's why I say he making about $100 an hour. He tricking good. Making $100 an hour.
Close to it, but
Yeah,
close to it. But
you know,
definitely the first job that I've ever had. That first
Yes,
job I ever
yes.
had.
So it's recommended that y'all, you know, go on Amazon. What you got on Amazon?
And in fact, you can find it on in this copy here. You can find it in this paperback at Soul Queens. That's SOLEQUS. I'm sorry, QUEENS.com.
Soul Queen.
Soul Queens and Roy Newkirk store.
And we'll share the link on Kingpin Chronicles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Share the link.
Mhm.
So y'all tap in. You know, y'all support my brother. And hey, we just freestyle another episode.
Yeah.
Freestyle. This ain't no. We ain't have no